Bonsoir tout le monde, bienvenue dans notre émission spéciale Mozayk avec les élections qu'a fait Kounia là. C'est un pile candidat qui a venu visiter nous et on apprécie ça. Nous avons avec nous un candidat qui ne parle pas les créoles, so we're going to be doing this in English because of Mr. Williams, Andre Williams, who's our guest today on Mozayk. Welcome, Mr. Williams, to Mozayk and to the Haitian community who is watching you right now.
Thank you so much, Claude. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm no stranger to the Haitian community, but so very glad for the invitation to speak with you today.
Well, we thank you for wanting to be on ITTV. I think it's important. This is a station that has a lot of viewers, a lot of Haitian viewers. We've been around basically since 1988, so we've built them up, and so I think that it's a good access to a community that is neglected in many ways. And I think that the seat that you're going for, which is seat number 5 in the city council of Miami Gardens, the city myself, I've been surprised that there haven't been very many Haitian Americans, on that council, and I believe the percentage of the citizenship in Miami Gardens is over. Is it near 20%? Or am I wrong?
What, Haitian American?
Yes.
I believe you're absolutely right. I think it hovers around 25%. That's Caribbean, so I think that includes Haitians, Jamaicans, the entire Caribbean diaspora. But I think it's about 25-30%. Yes.
That's an important number because
yes,
as you know, a few hundred can change an election. It doesn't
right.
take thousands, a few hundred. So I think that it's important that we participate, that we are, that the Haitians decide who they need to vote for. And of course, they're, as most communities, they're going to vote for Haitians if Haitians are running. But if there's somebody who's not Haitian who's running for a seat and takes them, respects the Haitian community and makes an attempt to really cater to their needs and gives them access to the government, I think that that's where they should go. What can you tell us about your ideas that would, I know you are basically elected for everyone in the community, but as far as our community is concerned, what are the things that you see or look forward to doing if you get elected?
Sure, and let me just, Claude, I'm glad you asked the question. Let me just share my background with your Haitian listeners, and I think that'll give folks some context about who I am. Grew up in Miami Gardens. My parents emphasized education, much like they do in many immigrant and minority communities. I went to Harvard undergrad, Vanderbilt Law School, came back to South Florida because I wanted to be part of this melting pot to help it grow and evolve. I've always appreciated multiculturalism at Harvard. I mean, we had folks from different countries, different ethnicities, national origin. So I've always had a great deal of respect for the Haitian culture and community. I studied American history. I studied the Haitian Revolution. So when I came back to this community, worked at major law firms, and started investing in real estate, and then served on the city council from 2006 to 2012. But I've always been close to the Haitian community. I've visited Haiti several times. I have good friends in the Haitian community. State Senator Daphne Campbell has endorsed me. I believe Miami Gardens should be a place where folks of the diaspora feel welcome. They have not done a very good job of that. Haitians, as you said, they constitute a significant population in Miami Gardens, but they've never been a part of our city government. And that's going to change with me. I respect and appreciate them. I started the Miami Gardens Chamber of Commerce because just like me, a lot of Haitians are entrepreneurial, small business people. So I want to encourage them to continue that, support them so they can start small businesses in Miami Gardens and create value for their families. And another point that I should share, I know a lot of folks in Miami Gardens are struggling. Even before the pandemic, the median family household income in Miami Gardens, Claude, was $42,000. And I know there are a number of Haitian Americans in that group. Miami Gardens and this council person, when I'm elected, we need to do a better job of improving the quality of life for our residents, our Haitian community, Caribbean community and regular African American community by helping them become entrepreneurs and providing them a better quality of life.
Well, I think the fact that you are the president of the Miami Gardens Chamber of Commerce, I think that's an important step in understanding that you are someone who is pro-business.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's one of the issues in any of the cities, not just in Florida, but we see everywhere where basically a lot of the governments are just putting obstacles left and right for small business to survive. So it's good to know that there's somebody there who understands what it's like to be a small businessman, because they're the ones that create more jobs. Small businesses create all the local jobs, and they stay around. Sometimes they stay around longer than they should, because it's this emotional attachment to creating your own business, and it's difficult to walk away compared to other businesses that are much larger, and just when things are not going well, they just they cut their losses and walk away. The small business tend to stay longer and fight because it's difficult for them to lose that dream. I think that it's important that you give the community access, obviously, to better understand what the city can do for them. To maybe, I don't know how much of Creole is instigated into the communication. I don't know if
none. I can tell you, Claude, at this point, none, zero. There's no Creole.
You go to Miami Airport and you hear messages in Creole and English and Spanish.
Of course you do.
You do that all over the county. But when you get to Miami Garden, all of a sudden it ends there.
I agree. This is a Haitian show, but that's also the case in the Caribbean community. I can remember conversations in Miami Gardens when I was in office. There are folks who don't appreciate the Caribbean community or Haitian community, and I intend to change that in Miami Gardens. We're going to be a much more friendly place to do business and much more inviting.
Well, I think the politicians there better wake up, because a lot of Haitians are not only economically growing, and when you basically, in our community, as you make more money, you move north. Now you have the Haitians in Little Haiti being pushed out in the gentrification process that is happening with the South Beach investors moving over into Little Haiti and pushing the Haitians up, buying their properties. So they're naturally moving up. Now they could be moving into North Miami, but they could be moving right a little bit further north of that, and that's Miami Gardens. And I believe Miami Gardens starts it starts at about 183rd Street. Am I right?
On the south, it starts at 151st Street.
151st
Street. 151st Street north, and our eastern boundary is northeast 2nd Avenue. So, along that 441 corridor, I think we have a large Haitian population along that 441 corridor. A lot of Caribbeans and Haitians live in that area. And actually, that's one of our highest voting areas. Well, I think the highest voting precinct is that area, that community. So they do vote, and so they do contribute. They don't have a Haitian on the city council, but I'll serve that role when I'm elected. But they are a significant voting power, and it's a shame that they haven't been taken. They've been taken too lightly up to this point. And I always reach out to different communities because that's a part of who I am.
Well, if you're successful at the next election, when the other seats become available, I think that we need to, get a Haitian to sit next to you and give you a little more. It's all about the numbers. It's about the more people on that seat, the more leverage they have. Because how many council are there? Are there 4 or 5?
There are 7 council folks. That's including the mayor, and it's not a strong mayor. Our mayor, it's really a ceremonial position. It's a city manager controlled government, but you still need 4 votes to make anything happen.
Exactly, and no matter what you want to do, if you're alone on that seat, and you need at least 3 more people to think like you. So it takes time. City of North Miami has understood that. We've been when I say we, Haitian Americans have been controlling that government for the last 20 years, mostly, with very few breaks to that. Uh, and and I think that it's been really good. And of course, that community is 35%, 36, 37% Haitian American. And it could be more because we never get real census numbers and real numbers. And I think that I think the Haitians will grow because there's a Jamaican community, but I think the Haitian community has a much better chance of growing faster. Haiti's got 10 million, 11 million people, and 99.9% are trying to get out because economically it's getting worse and worse over there. So
Hmm.
every opportunity they can to come here, they will. And that only means that in South Florida, which is the #1 target area for Haitians, every city in South Florida has a potential of getting another increase of Haitians within every election cycle. There's more Haitian voters, whether you want to, like it or not. That's a reality. Um, and I think to give you an example, Donald Trump showed up in Little Haiti in 2016. Now, that was an amazing situation because someone that you would have thought Hillary would have been the one coming, and she didn't. So somebody took it seriously, and I
A lot
think
of Haitians voted for him. A lot of Haitians voted for him
yes,
too.
yes, yes, and yes, there's no doubt because we know what the Clintons have done to Haiti. There was a very negative experience with the Clintons on many levels, and I don't see any reason why the Haitians are going to change their mind for the next one. But the bottom line right now is local government because the local government is the one that is directing us, directly affecting us. Um, and I believe that as the more Haitian Americans or candidates that support Haitians that we can get into position, it's only better for our community. The Cubans figured it out, 30, 40 years ago, and the Cubans control, Dade County and much of Broward. So there's no secret to the reality. Is there any other elements that you want to bring up about the kind of things that you want to change in Miami Gardens?
Sure, sure. I know some folks have talked about defunding the police, and I know there's some bad apples in the group. But I've been endorsed by the Miami-Dade County Police Benevolent Association. Miami Gardens has a public safety issue, and I know you're part-time in North Carolina, but I'm sure you remember last summer where there seemed to be a shooting or murder in Miami Gardens every week of the summer. Now, I get pushback from some electeds in Miami Gardens. Oh, it's overblown. It's fake news. It's not true. Well, no, Miami Gardens has a public safety issue. I have a Ring camera on my mother's house, and I don't know if you have Ring, but it notifies you, if there's some sort of disturbance. And I can tell you, I will see every evening, oh, there's a shooting here. I heard gunshots. Miami has a public safety issue. And you know why that is, Claude? Because we don't have enough police officers on the street. Miami Gardens has a population of 113,000, more or less. Claude, we have 60 full-time patrol officers for Miami Gardens in shifts of 15. So that means at any given time, there are only 15 patrol officers on a city of this size. Well, there's no wonder I get calls and complaints from residents who say it takes 3 and 4 hours for police officers to show up when they make a routine call. Now, 60 patrol officers in Miami Gardens, a city of 113,000. That's in contrast to the city of Miami Beach, which is smaller than Miami Gardens, has a population of about 97,000. They have 250 patrol officers on the streets in Miami Beach. So we need more police officers in Miami Gardens. That helps the Haitian community. That helps the entire community because we should have an efficient, well-trained police department. Okay, and that's one of my main priorities, to make Miami Gardens a safe place for our families, residents, and businesses. Because we talked about small businesses. I'm a businessman and an attorney. We're not going to attract business here. Small businesses can't be successful if our community is not safe, if they don't feel like we have an effective police department. So that's a change I promised to bring, and that's why I've been endorsed by the Miami-Dade County Police Benevolent Association. State Senator Daphne Campbell is my sister. She's endorsed me. And so we have to make some real substantive change about how we provide public safety in Miami Gardens moving forward.
I think it's very important because I don't know of any Haitian who's interested in defunding any police. This is really one of the most incredible things that I have heard, in my life from any politician to actually think that getting rid of the police is a good idea. Now, I spent over almost 35 years in Haiti before coming back here on a full-time basis in 2010 and 2011. We know what bad police is, and we know what lack of a police is all about, and we know everything about insecurity, and we know about kidnappings, and we know about all kinds of issues. And so if you're telling Haitians that have left all that insecurity and left all those problems to get on a boat or whatever, however they got here, and now they're sitting here and they're watching TV and they see Portland and they see all this craziness, and then they see elected officials saying, "Oh, it's okay. It's it's a summer of love. Everything's wonderful." This is crazy. And so any politician who talks to me about we need to get rid of the police, that's the politician that usually has private police or security paid by the city, protecting them and their home, and they just think that they're doing the politically right thing to do, but it is such a mistake. And so I'm happy to hear that you'll never say defund the police. Now, everyone understands that about police reform, but the crazy thing is that in many of the cities where there's been issues with bad policemen, many times the police chief is black. The attorney general of the state is black. It means blacks are controlling that city, and they can make, and so you cannot say that it's a racism issue, where institutionalized racism with people. No, but if you have a black person arriving at the position of power, from president all the way down, then it's not racism anymore. It's about just a bad person. And if a black police chief can't figure out who the bad racist in his police department is, then he's not doing his job. Because they're a black racist and they're a white racist, and that's just part of society. It's part of human nature. You're going to find bad people. And now, I'm not saying that we can do better. And as the fact that we can put the right people in power, we can vote for the right people, and we can do everything that we hope that they keep their word, and they can continue to protect us and continue to get rid of the bad people. But how many white and black politicians were caught doing bad things, in the last 20 years, in South Florida alone? You can fill up there's a couple of jail cells you can fill up with things that these people have been caught. And you cannot just say that all politicians are crooks or all lawyers are sharks. And I think that it's very important that, as far as my community is concerned, as far as Haitians is concerned, we're not into defunding the police. We're into making them better. You need to add police in Miami Gardens.
I agree, and that's going to be
that Creole-speaking policeman.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Well, that's going to be, again, one of my most important initiatives, because we're in the midst of this pandemic, but when we come out of it, we want to make sure that we hit the ground running and that our police department is well equipped. We bring back community policing, neighborhood policing, and that we have a multicultural and representative police force. That's very important to me.
Exactly, and I think the police among themselves, need to police themselves. They know they spent 8 hours a day with each other. They know who, if somebody there is really, you know, violent, over violent. I think overzealous and over violent policemen is probably there are probably more of those than just purely racist. You know, in 2020,
Hmm.
someone who's got their position, you know, in living life and becoming a pure, still being a pure racist, kind of difficult. I think, you
Hmm.
know, you'd have to really come out of a place that's has very few blacks that they grew up with, that they have contacts with, because racism is basically based on ignorance, and the less contacts you have with people of other nationality and colors, the more chance you have, preconceived ideas that create a racist attitude. So you cannot be in school in South Florida with blacks and Cubans and Cubans and grow up to be a pure racist. I don't see that, you know.
Right.
I don't see that.
I agree.
Nobody's born a racist. As a baby, all babies are not racist, you know. None of them are. You know? So, but I think that all these elements are important, and I want to make sure that there's got to be maybe eventually in your, I don't know how the city council works there. I don't know if you have a staff, but I would suggest that you have a Creole speaking staff, because if you become elected, and we hope you do, because we need Haitian friends on the seat. You may need someone who's Haitian, who speaks Creole, who can be that access. Because we want to be able to tell Haitians, you live in Miami Gardens and you have any issue, well, you can talk to somebody in your language. It may not be somebody who's elected right now, but there's somebody elected there who, in their office, someone speaks Creole. You think that's a possibility? What you would be able to create when you become
Sure.
in the council?
Absolutely. And I know there's some Creole speaking employers there now. But as I said, I understand the diaspora, Caribbean, Haitian, I'm multicultural. So I'm gonna be looking to recruit people who speak, various languages to be part of our Miami Gardens government community.
Well, I think I'm very happy that we had this conversation. I'm
I
glad.
as well. Thank you.
I know that all the campaigns are tight, but you were able to make an investment into ITTV, and I think our
Yes.
viewers appreciate that, because it's that financial support that makes our television grow. And maybe some of the other candidates out there, wherever you are in Dade and Broward, you can do like Mr. Williams and invest in advertising on this community, because as you said, Haitians vote. They know the importance of voting. They made a lot of changes in Haiti, and they vote when they can. And I remember a time in '87, I was there, and the military was shooting to just the day of the elections. They were shooting around. People would get in line, and when the shooting would come, they would hide and they would get back in line. That's how much they wanted to vote. They were shot at, and when the cars, the drive-bys would go away, they would get back in line. Whoever wasn't shot would get back in line to vote. And I witnessed it. I was working with CBS at the time, and that shows you Haitians, they understand the value of the vote, um, and hopefully they will be compensated by voting for someone that really works with them. Do you
Well,
have a last word?
this won't be the last time you're going to see me. Once I'm elected, the Chamber of Commerce is going to be very active in the Haitian community. So you're going to be hearing from me again about various programs to support small businesses. So I really appreciate you inviting me. And to all your Haitian listeners, I encourage you to vote. Early voting is going on right now. Election day is August 18th. And I have the background. I'm an attorney. I'm a businessman. I understand how we're going to build Miami Gardens into a world-class city and be inclusive, because I want my Haitian constituency to be a part of that. I'm going to welcome you with open arms once I'm elected. You're going to be a part of the fabric of Miami Gardens. So I'm really excited to be working with you. And punch 419.
419. I'm going to say a last word in Creole. I want to thank you again for coming on
Sure, it's my pleasure.
our virtual internet Zoom recording.
Mhm.
Alors, tout le monde m'a recommandé que si vous habitez dans Miami Gardens, à voter pour M. André Williams parce que il fait promesse, il chita avec Kounia, il croit dans la communauté haïtienne, il croit dans Haïti TV, il croit dans le message qu'on a porté. On a compté pour voter pour André Williams, 419, numéro 419. Votez pour lui parce que nous avons besoin d'amis dans tout le gouvernement dans la Floride. Miami Gardens surtout, nous n'avons pas de représentation, nous avons besoin d'assistance pour vraiment arriver à gagner plus de pouvoir et c'est à travers voter qu'on a gagné plus de pouvoir. Merci en pile. Ça, c'était une émission d'élection spéciale qu'a faite Mozayk cette semaine prochaine avec élection qui va venir le 18 août. So, bonne chance, bonne journée, bon après-midi, bonne semaine jusqu'à la prochaine émission de Mozayk. À bientôt.
Merci beaucoup, Claude.
Great job. That was great.
Thank you so much.